What's going on, guys? Car Review Guys here. My name is AJ and we are back this week with the Mazda 2024. This is the all-new plug-in hybrid for the CX-90, replacing the CX-9. And we have the top trim level with us today. Sorry about that. And we are going to be discussing the exterior, then we're going to go to the interior, then we're going to take it on a drive. And while we do the exterior, we're going to talk stats, figures, all the stuff you guys probably would like to know. First, we got to run the cinematic without further ado, so let's roll. This CX-90 has a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder combined with a 68 kilowatt battery, pushing 323 horsepower. The transmission comes in an 8-speed automatic, and the curb weight's sitting around 5,243 pounds, which is going to be pushing this plug-in hybrid CX-90 from 0 to 60 in an impressive 5.9 seconds. Fuel economy, you're looking at 24 city, 27 highway, and 25 average. That is without using the battery, of course. If you use that, you're going to have a combined average of around 56 mpgs. Now, on this side is the charge port door. And with that said, you're going to want to know charging times, of course. On a 240 volt, you're looking around 90 minutes. And for 120 volt, which is your standard outlet at home, you are looking at 6 hours and 40 minutes. Overall vehicle dimensions, 16.9 feet in length. Your width is looking at 6.5 feet, and then your height is right around 5.75 feet. Now, pricing is going to be starting at around $49,945 for the base plug-in hybrid, which is called the preferred trim level. Tester today, again, is the Premium Plus, and it is $58,920, including destination charge. Now, we have made it over here on this side, and we've already discussed fuel economy. You can see that the fuel door is a bit smaller for the actual fuel, and the size of tank, you were looking at an 18.5 gallons. Alrighty, let's take a look around this very quickly. So you're going to notice different parking sensors, of course, there, and then also kind of bedded in right there. And then you have the camera in the middle for the 360 camera. Obviously airflow that all goes through. You have nice bright LED headlamps. Moving on around. Nice looking wheels. I really do like the wheels on this thing. They look very normal. A lot of hybrids and plug-in hybrids, I don't know, they do it for aerodynamics obviously, but they just don't look very good, and these actually look quite nice. You have some chrome trim down there. It says Mazda, which again I think looks nice. And then on the door handles, you do have keyless entry. It is only on the front doors. And then for the mirrors, you have blind spot monitoring. You guys already know from watching my channel, I am sure. The only thing that I would change is the black plastic. I wish that was optional to paint match that. I'm sure you could aftermarket, obviously, but I just mean from the factory, that would be nice. Otherwise, I really love the design. Coming to the rear, I do like the rear as well. I mean, like I said, I really do enjoy the overall design. I think it looks nice. Of course, all-wheel drive badging, and then your Sky Active PHEV, which stands for plug-in hybrid, obviously. Now, to pop the rear right underneath the Mazda emblem, you just simply press and up it goes. You can see the third row back here. and you can fold those down and get plenty of space. The third row, honestly, we'll talk about it a little bit more maybe, but it's really not all that practical for large adults, but for anyone smaller and kids, third row, very, very practical. You are gonna notice on this, there is a 1500 watt, which is like for your laptops, gaming systems, all that kind of thing. So that's nice, not every vehicle has that, so nice little touch there. Alrighty, time to jump on the inside, and I don't know if you can tell or not, my neck, I've had like a strained neck, honestly, for like 4 weeks. We're trying to get that figured out. Long story short, I'm stiff, so this is even more of a test. I always test whether it's easy or not to get in the vehicles from the front and the rear, and I am 5'9" if you were new to this channel, so this is going to be nice and slow because, again, it's hard for me to kind of move my neck. You do definitely have to bend down in this one. Once you're back in here, it's not bad at all. This seat does adjust, so now that I lean it back, there's a good bit more room, which is nice. And I apologize, it is probably pretty dark in here for the lighting. Cloudy day, which is nice for the exterior, not as great for the interior. Anyway, probably a good 3 inches above my head, and then this is where my driver seat sits, and that's probably 3.5 to 4 inches right there. Up in front of us, we've got our own temperature control, and you have heated rear seats for here in the second row. You have a pocket on the driver and the passenger side. Now we have to touch on door materials very quickly, as we always do. Mazda always has a great interior, in my opinion. You got little chrome bezels here on the window switches, makes it feel more premium. You can probably see me pressing that, so it's nice and soft. Up here, all nice and soft. And then this is more like a rubberized material, and then a pretty cool looking design here. And with this black Napa leather, you can see there is a little like taupe or brown or whatever shade you want to call it down the middle. Very similar to the front. You can also see the contrast stitching. There is a white interior as well, so there are 2 different color options available. Time to test the front. Little bit easier than the rear for sure, just because of the angle. Once again, this is kind of sloping up. The other one's kind of flat, if not almost sloping down. So it is easier as far as ride height goes. I don't think you really have any problems there. It's a pretty standard ride height for SUV, in my opinion. Touching very quickly on the door, literally pretty much identical to the rear door, which is nice. A lot of times companies cheap out on the rear doors and just make the front doors nice. Not the case for Mazda, which is good. You do have memory seating down there, obviously for your gas release for the door. Out in front of us, we have a fully digital instrument cluster, which I love that. Out in front of us, we do have a heads-up display. And then over here, we do have a nice size screen. And with that said, for this trim level, it does have wireless Apple and Auto / Android CarPlay. So yeah, and then you pretty much are going to be using it down here for the most part, unless you are using the CarPlay feature. Now, down below, you've got dual zone for the front. Obviously, there's one for the rear, so technically it is tri-zone. And then you've got a heated steering wheel, heated seats, and cooled seats. You may be asking, what is this little button here? Well, if you are diminished on your battery, as which you can see mine is on empty right there. If you press this, there will be a little icon that pops up right there. And that is basically going to be raising the RPMs of the motor, and it is charging the battery itself. So definitely an option. I don't know how all the math works out as far as fuel efficiency goes on that, but nonetheless, that is a feature. Touching on the center console, of course, you've got 2 different buttons for 2 different doors. It's not deep, so you could probably fit about one tissue box in there, and then I don't know if you can see it or not, there's 2 different USB-Cs right there. Up in front of us, we do have a wireless phone charger, and then obviously this is to select all of your different drive modes. Pretty standard rear view mirror, and of course you do have home link underneath. Sunglasses holder, and then for the pano roof, we can let that slide back in real time so you can see how long that takes. Not that long. It's actually pretty quick. So there's your time of it. Last but not least, for the interior, seats are nice and
I don't want to say plush. They're soft, but they're not overly soft. They're a little bit on the firm side, but the leather is really soft. So still supportive, and yeah, overall nice. I think it's time that we need to get this CX-90 out on the road and see how it drives. So let's get to it. Getting the CX-90 out on the road. My first impression, honestly, is always the interiors on Mazda. I always love the interiors on Mazda. They're very, very nice. They feel more premium than many brands, up until you get into, you know, not its competition, right? You start getting into some higher price tags, and then maybe not there. But for its competition, right? I always feel Mazda has done a really good job with the interiors. Now, as far as driving goes, right? I just had someone literally just run a stop sign, not paying attention at all. So sorry about the distraction there. Anyway, with that said, first gear kind of going into second gear, it's just a little clunky. I don't want to, like, it's not bad, but you can definitely feel it. Which is a little surprising, because most other Mazdas I don't really feel it. So I don't know if it's just because it's a plug-in hybrid, even though like right now I'm in gasoline only. I don't know. It's just a little bit different. It's not bad, but it is there. So whenever you go test drive one, I don't ever want anyone to ever discredit me. I don't lie to you guys. I keep it real. As far as the braking goes, it has really good brakes on it. It's actually rather impressive for an SUV. They're not overly touchy, but they certainly, if you need to stop it, it stops quite well. Let's talk about noise levels. Let's see if you can hear the motor, like if I accelerate. So I don't know if you can hear that. When you're not under, like, I don't want to say full load, but when you're not accelerating and you're just maintaining, I don't really hear the motor at all. When accelerating, I do hear it. Now, as far as like cars going by, let's listen. So as far as wind noise goes, I think they do a pretty good job. I don't really hear much as far as that. There was a bigger truck go by. The tires are a hair noisy. I can hear those a little bit, but again, wind noise is really good. Like, one more. I just don't hear it. So that's really good as far as that goes. Now, the drive modes you guys always ask about. We have off-road, EV, normal, and sport. I find myself in normal majority of the time. Yes, they're programmed pretty well. Sport is definitely a little bit more peppy. You can feel it. It kind of downshifts, and it's ready to go. Now, speaking of sport suspension, a little bit more sporty, I have it in comfort. Here comes our cattle guard we do in every vehicle. Let's test it. Not bad. I definitely moved a little bit, but certainly within what I would call a normal range. Also, as far as the noise goes, you can hear it, as I already mentioned. You can hear and feel. That's part of Mazda, right? Like, they want you to feel you're driving the vehicle. And I think they've done a very good job with that, because I definitely feel like I can really even drive. I don't want to say spirited, because, you know, it's a large SUV, really, but it does. It's certainly, you feel it more than most, which is a good job on Mazda's part. This vehicle is equipped with adaptive cruise control. Adaptive cruise control does pretty good. I find myself using it quite often. I'm actually using it right now, and I am happy with it. As far as blind spots go, checking over to our left, that pillar is pretty far forward, and it's pretty skinny, honestly, which is nice, very easy to see. Checking over to our right, the only near blind spot is all the way near the back, and that's so far back that you can then see that in your mirror. So there's virtually no blind spot for the most part, which is nice. And then, of course, as already stated, there is blind spot monitoring if you have any issues with that. Along with talking how Mazda has just a good driving experience, like you really feel like you are with the vehicle. We're coming up on a turn. Let's test the suspension as far as a turn goes. Let's take this at 20 miles an hour. Definitely some body roll, but actually that's pretty good for the size of SUV that this is. That's actually pretty minor. So not bad in that department. And just to continue on with the driving experience, a 0 to 60 under 6 seconds is rather impressive, if you ask me, for a really large SUV. I mean, it's maybe not quite, you know, like a Tahoe range, but it is not small by any stretch, right? And with that said, a 0 to 60 of under 6 seconds, and remember, this is a plug-in hybrid, so this is made to have and get good gas mileage. So even on gas alone, you're still on the freeway getting close, near to 30 miles to the gallon. So I think that's really impressive by Mazda to be able to get a 0 to 60 like that, and you can really feel like you're driving the vehicle, which pretty cool. If you're looking for something ultra luxurious, this is not for you. That's not what this is. I'm not discounting it. It's super nice on the inside. It feels more premium, but as far as road noise, different stuff, it's not quite up to that level. But again, I don't think that's the target audience, and it really shouldn't be. This is more of a in-between. Like, you can have nice things in this, all while still getting that driving experience, which is really, again, what Mazda is all about. If there's anything else that I am missing or anything that you would like to know, please just comment down below. I try to respond to every single person. Almost to 20,000 subscribers. Thank you to each and every one of you. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.